Right, we've got a few things to get through today. First of all, we're going to be taking a look back at last night's game with a little bit less emotion. I've got a few things to discuss. I've got them written down. I've got bullet points. I am organised today. I am on it. So, quite a bit to discuss actually. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this video. I've got to promote Patreon, but don't worry, there's no sponsor in this video, so you don't have to listen to me to promote anything else other than just our Patreon, why it's important to us, and why I think it's a good deal actually. I've also got a clip from a visitor that we had on the boats yesterday, but first, I'd like to start with a confession. And that is, when I go to games, I get carried away. I know I do. I know I get overly excited, I get caught up in the emotion of the match, and I make no apologies for it. But it's important to me as a West Ham fan that when I go, I allow myself to get overly excited. It's something I've always done, and I will never apologise for it. It will come through in videos like last night, where I'm bigging up a few probably individual players a little bit more than I should have done. But today's video is a less emotional view at last night's game, where I reevaluated a few things that I said last night. However, one thing I was surprised at is the emphasis on our lack of possession in yesterday's game. So we had 39% possession. Now I understand it because we didn't play like Barcelona last night and Wolves dominated the ball, and there was obviously a clear correlation between our lack of possession and that happening. But I felt like last night was a bit more old West Ham. I say old West Ham, it was old David Moyes West Ham. That is the style that's got us to 6th and 7th place in the Premier League. And it's not always pretty, it's just effective. Now I know last night there was a large part of it which is only because of Wolves. And when I read the comments in the video yesterday, I was surprised at how many people said it consistently. You know, I said it at the very start of the video because I didn't want to keep on saying it throughout. I didn't want to praise Bowen and say, but it was only Wolves. I'll praise this player, but it was only Wolves. Scamacca scored a world-class strike, but it was only Wolves. Because I think there's only so many times you can say that. And I think it's a bit unfair and it removes the context, which is important. I think the context of everything in life is important, especially in football, whether you're talking about a result, an overall team performance, an individual player's performance. Because Jarrod Bowen going into yesterday's game was much different to Declan Rice going into last night's game, for example, because of the context surrounding the player's form heading into it. And that's why I thought it was a big win last night. And my opinion on that hasn't changed. That was a massive win. We were under pressure heading into that game. Moyes was under huge pressure. So was Bruno Lage. Both managers were. But we came out with a win, and that was a huge, huge win for the manager and for the team last night. Now, did it help that we were playing Wolves? Of course it did. That's why in the preview we spoke about Wolves being the perfect opposition for West Ham this weekend. The team's struggling just as much as we are to get anything. The manager that's struggling to work out his formation, where to play certain players and stuff. But I felt like last night we went back to what David Moyes knew, and we tried to play counter-attacking football. And I just feel like the 39% possession stat was being emphasised a little bit too much for my liking. Would I like to see us knocking the ball about and looking like prime Barcelona? Of course I would. But last night I felt like we went back to what Moyes knows. Instead of Moyes playing the players he trusts, I felt like he played the system he trusts. And when you look back at last season when we beat Wolves 1-0 on the stadium, we had 39% possession. However, if you go back 2 years to when we beat Wolves 4-0 at the London Stadium, when Jarrod Bowen scored the 2 goals, we had 37% possession. We had less possession, yet we went on to finish 6th in the league and then 7th in the league. So, yes, okay, I can understand it to some extent, but I just felt there was too much emphasis being put on it because it removed the context, which is, A, Wolves are a good team in possession, a little bit pointless possession at times, but also B, we needed a win at all costs last night, and I felt, well, we clearly got one. We won 2-0, but I felt like it was win at all costs to some extent. Now I've got that grumble over the way. If people don't want positivity, by the way, this ain't the video, because from here on in, it's only positivity, because I'm feeling really good. I woke up happier today than I have done in the last couple of weeks because of West Ham, and I do think there was a lot of positives to take from last night. Were we perfect? No. Would a better team in the Premier League have beaten us if we played like that? Yes. But there's also other teams in the Premier League we would have beaten playing like that last night, not just Wolves. Now, I will admit, Bruno Lage's tactics were just as important to us winning last night as David Moyes' tactics. I do believe that. I think Neves playing centre-back was a baffling decision. To leave him centre-back throughout the game was even more baffling, But it was actually refreshing coming away thinking, what on earth was that manager doing, and not referring to our own one. Now, I'm going to discuss Tuchel at right back. I'm going to discuss Bowen. I'm going to discuss Scamacca, and I'm also going to discuss Paqueta, and why I was confident we were going to win after seeing the starting lineup. Because there was one thing in particular I thought, we're winning today, and this is why. But before I get on to that, I just want to point you in the direction of our Patreon. The start of the month is the best time to join up. You get charged when you join, you get charged again on the 1st of the month. So if you join up now, you won't get charged again until the 1st of November. But if you join up on the 20th of October, you'll get charged again on the 1st of November. So you enjoy more content. Now, for mild addicts and addicts this month over on our Patreon, there's at least 31 videos in October. There's loads of content this month, helped by us having 9 games in October. We did our player ratings this morning over there as well, where myself and Gonzo massively disagree on Fabianski. We disagree on Thilo Kehrer, you'll find out why in a second. And we disagree on Lucas Paqueta as well. We have different ratings for each of the 3 players. You can join up by clicking the link in the description or going to patreon.com/HammersChat. It'll cost £3.60 per month for the supporters tier. That's the all-in price. That includes the VAT. You get more videos, but you also get things like discount at our online store. You get entered into the giveaways. The giveaway this month is a signed Julian Dick shirt. We might also have another couple of signed shirts as well, but certainly a signed Julian Dick shirt. There's other prizes. That's just the main prize in the draw. That print there, signed Julian Dick's prints in it. Not that one. There's a other one. I'm keeping that one. That's my one. You're not getting that, but there's another one. So yeah, if you fancy supporting the channel, please do. Links in the description and the pinned comments. Massively appreciate anybody's support. And if you're a patron watching this and you wouldn't mind recommending it or giving your honest thoughts, please leave it in the comments where other people can read it. Right, Thilo Kehrer. I wasn't blown away. I thought it was a good performance from him at right back. And I think it was important for him. And I think it was important for Moyes. But what it did do was possibly trigger better performances out of other players in the team. Dawson came in, was fantastic, right? Dawson was huge in yesterday's win. He was next to him. But the person next to him in centre midfield, i.e. sort of like diagonal, if you like, was on paper, was Thomas Tuchel. And I thought Tuchel played well yesterday. Again, I've read the comments of people saying that he didn't play well. Listen, his distribution wasn't perfect, okay? It wasn't. But I thought, out of possession, I thought he was unstoppable. When Craig Dawson allowed Diego Costa to have that header at a goal that he should have scored but didn't, Tuchel went in and really went at Craig Dawson. I say went at him. He was screaming at him. They had a little conversation, patted each other on the back, and away they went. But I was really impressed with Tuchel's performance. Very early on, he gave the ball away cheaply on a couple of occasions. One of them was looking for Cornet. It was unrealistic. But I felt like as the game went on, he got better and better. He just kept it simple with his pass. He was just giving it to Bowen, giving it to Rice Paqueta. He just kept it simple, and I thought it worked really, really well. But out of possession, he's throwing himself in the way of everything, getting the tackles in. And one thing that was really pleasing was maybe 15 minutes to go in the game. He won the ball in the corner and he tried to play it down the line. It went out for a throw-in. He probably should have been able to play it down the line, okay? But he didn't. However, like I said, he worked hard, won the ball, held the Wolves player off, cleared it, went out for a throw, and he visibly went, as if to say, I've messed up here. And the crowd just started clapping and cheering as if saying, no, come on, you're having a good game, keep going. And it was really pleasing to see, actually. It was almost like a virtual arm around him by the people there to say, no, listen, you're having a good game, keep going. And I think it was a much improved performance from him. I thought him and Rice as a partnership were really strong yesterday. Wolves is a difficult team to play against in midfield. Now, it helped them not having Neves in there. It did help. But Matinho, Nunes, that's still 2 really good players in possession of the ball. And I thought Souček played fine. But I do think Soufal not being there helped him. Because usually, whenever Souček gets the ball, he just gives it to Soufal. I mean, it probably doesn't happen. But when I watch the game, I feel that it's too easy a pass for Souček to Soufal to Souček. But yesterday he was mixing up a bit. He didn't have his mate there to play it to him all the time. And again, the person ahead of Thilo Kehrer, Bowen, best performance from him this season. Now, it probably has been coming. But is it a coincidence that 2 of the players that were sort of out of form coming into this game played well with a new right back to the side and behind them? It might have been. Now, as for Kehrer, I stand by what I said last night. Defensively, I thought he was lazy at times. In possession, really good. Going forward, really good. When he was in a defensive position, I thought he was fine. held his ground well, was communicating a lot with Dawson. I felt like Dawson was having to sort of not babysit him, coach him through the game quite a lot, actually. I'm only referring to the second half here because of where to sit. The first half is too far away, perspective's awful, I can't tell. But the second half anyway, I'm in the corner where Kerr is. I see a lot more of him. But there was times Wolves were breaking and he was just jogging back. And I'm like, move, come on, sprint, get back. You know, it was 1-0, 2-0, whatever the score was at that point, because it was happening over various times. Like, get backing up. You could see Dawson almost screaming at him a little bit. Now, obviously, nothing happened. We didn't get punished for it or anything like that. But I would have just liked a little bit more urgency from him to get back. But there was a lot to work with, a lot to like. Now, don't anyone twist my words. I'm not saying he had a bad game. He had a solid game. And there's lots to work with. He can be moulded into a better right back. But I did think there was one or two where people say, better teams would have beat us. Well, what I will say is a better left winger would have taken advantage of that. Unfortunately, Charlie is not the best footballer in the world. He's not got the best footballing brain. Got moved over to the right, and Podence came out there, and he was just knackered. And then Campbell, I think it's Campbell, came on. The young lad came on, and he was just didn't really have a go. And the game was dead at this point by the time he was on the pitch. But Kerr, promising, but not perfect. Now I'm going to disappear for a second and play you a clip from a special visitor that we had on the boats yesterday. Give it a watch and I'll be back to discuss more things from last night's game in just a second. Right, I'm joined by Casper on the boats today, who's down for book signing. It's his last book signing today, and it's for me. There you go, Cas. You can send it.
It's a pleasure, it's an honour.
Good win today.
Great turnout, thanks for letting me do this signing. I mean, this is my #1 place I come before a game anyway, when I do come over it. So it was a great honour today to do a book signing. The only thing was maybe train strike. A lot of people couldn't make it. So what Gio suggested, and I'm happy to agree, there's no signed books in the country apart from me, but now they're going to be on Hammer's Chat for all those that didn't make it because the train strike today. And it's a great win, by the way. So yeah, Gio, big sign book. Is that good enough for you, mate?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much. So there you go. If you want to get yourself a signed Cas pen and book, head to hammerschatstore.com. Links in the description. Grab yourself one now. Support Cas, support Hammer's Chat. He's a winner.
What's more, you get little cards inside as well from the old school and everything, and other little side stuff as well. So, you know, all that cost price. Cheap is it? Total you get 2 days to read the book. Cost more, £9. Hammer's Chat. Days yours. So a big thank you to Cas for popping down on the boats yesterday, and a big thank you to everybody on the boats for making Cas feel welcome. Right, Jarrod Bowen. I mean, what a performance that was. The partnership between him and Scamacca was just mouth-watering. I was thoroughly enjoying that from the first minute until when Scamacca went off. I was really enjoying their link-up play. Now, I'm not going to talk about Scamacca in this video. That's tomorrow's one. I'm going to do a video just purely about Scamacca tomorrow because, I came away purring with what I saw from Scamacca, but also Jarrod Bowen. The variety he showed yesterday when he was getting the ball, trying to cut inside often, and he was making it work. Then, I think it was the third or fourth time when he went running at the Wolves defence, he took it on the outside onto his right foot. Now, there was an occasion where he probably should have passed to Cornet, and Cornet was in a better position. But a huge performance from him. Out of possession, magnificent. Did nothing wrong. Got back to help Tilo Kerr, got forward. It was just, the amount of ground he covered yesterday was unbelievable. I'd be surprised if he did not cover the most ground out of anybody in that game yesterday. He was just everywhere. But going forward, he was just dangerous. He was a player that didn't look like he was out of form. From the very first minute of the game, he was making the runs, he was comfortable in possession, he was running at the defence, he was happy to take the defenders on. When he got it, he wasn't trying to get rid of it ASAP. He got it and just, come on man, I'm going to have a go at you. Trying to weave in and out of players. I thought it was almost faultless from Jarrod, but bar that pass, I thought it was excellent. And that finish was superb. Like I said, that 90 minutes was, you could pick that game up from Jarrod Bowen yesterday and plonk it in the middle of last season and it wouldn't look out of place. It was a continuation of the good form that we've seen. And I was surprised. It was probably going to come eventually because Bowen is a good player. Now, this is where I have a difference between Bowen and Souček and Soufal. I'll
I've said it before, and like I said, I think Souček had a good game, but this was my opinion before yesterday's game. I wasn't confident Sufal or Souček would turn their form around anytime soon. I was confident Bowen would. Bowen is a really good player. He was going through a bad patch. Now, Moyes deserves credit for this, and that's playing him through the bad form. It's frustrated me. I wanted to see Bowen drop. I wanted to see him drop for this game. You know what? So is what I know. That's why I'm a mouthy football fan and not a manager and all that. But Moyes is stuck with him with the belief that he is getting better and that this performance was coming. He's been justified now. He's got it. And I think you can get away with 1 or 2 players in your starting 11 when they're out of form doing that. I think the problem is we had 3 or 4 instead of 1 or 2 in the starting 11. Not great at the minute, and we kept on playing them. But that yesterday from Jared Bowen was absolutely fantastic. And he's the type of player, when the final whistle goes, I think, good game, can't wait to see you next week. Jared Bowen's one of those players I look forward to seeing play at West Ham when he's in the form he was last night. He was unstoppable. They didn't know what to do with him. It's a bit like when Traore comes on, you don't know what to do with him. Because of his speed and power, that's it. It's not because he's tricky or he's going to score or do anything like that. It's just because he's physically difficult to get a hold of and mark and defend against. You know when he's one-on-one, he's going to beat you. Just because he's simply faster and too strong. Bowen is unstoppable. Not for those reasons, because of the way he is as a footballer. He's a fantastic footballer, and I thoroughly enjoyed that yesterday. Now, before I do Paqueta, I'll finish it up with Paqueta. The reason I was confident yesterday that we were going to go on and win, and this is, like I said, this is the advantage of doing videos, I suppose. There's an archive of it now on Patreon. But when the team came out, I'll be honest with you, when I saw Souček, I thought, oh, okay. Apart from that, I was happy. But I knew Moyes wasn't going to change Souček. So I was pleased with that lineup when it came out. But the biggest reason I was pleased is because that front 4, Bowen, Paqueta, Cornet, Scamacca, goals. There is goals in that front 4. And I am confident that that front 4 will give you goals. And it's the first time I felt like that this season. Everton a couple of weeks ago, when I saw the lineup, I thought, well, we're going to have to win 1-0 or we're not going to win. Because that team doesn't have 2 in them. Yesterday, that was the first time this season I thought, do you know something? We could concede today and still win the game. That front 4, on average, will probably score 2.5 goals a game. If they're in form. I say in form. If 2, maybe 3 of them are in form in that game, we will score a couple. And I was proven correct. I'm going to say that. We scored 2 last night. Bowen and Scamacca got them as well. So I was proven correct with that theory. We could have conceded 1 and still won that game. But that's the first time I felt like that this season, actually. When I saw it and I thought, there you go. That's an attacking team. That's an attacking front 4 right there. And I thought they were. I thought they were linking up really well. I thought Cornet's flick on to Scamacca was really good. Like we've always spoken about Bowen. I'll speak about Scamacca tomorrow. So let's speak about Paqueta. Promising. I think that's how I would sum it up. Glimpses of star quality. Not the perfect performance. Out of possession, works really hard. Gets back, doesn't mind putting the tackles in, puts in a shift. In possession, I think he's got to get used to 2 things. 1, the Premier League, obviously. And 2, West Ham. He's got to get used to West Ham. Now, this is where I will concede the 39% possession thing, okay? Because this is where my argument will fall down here. I concede that. When he was at Lyon were a possession-based side. He was able to take 2 or 3 touches and move it about and play nice passing football. He wasn't able to do that last night. We were set up to play counter-attacking football, and I'm not sure he was set up to play. He almost needed a switch in the neck, so you can go to Paqueta and switch him from possession-based to counter-attacking style, and you see a different Paqueta. So he needs to get used to the Premier League. We saw it at Everton, where he had a 95% pass success rate. So there's nothing wrong with him when he gets rid of the ball. He's finding a teammate. But he got dispossessed on a couple of occasions at Everton because he was in a really crowded area outside the box and he would take 2 touches, lose the ball. That's getting used to the Premier League. That's getting used to the pace, the aggression of the centre-back, not having time on the ball. That's getting used to the league. But getting used to West Ham is last night's performance, where you can't do the passing thing. We need to play quicker. We need to get up the pitch a little bit quicker. And I thought it was a really promising performance from him, though. I thought I saw quite a few lung-busting runs from him when we did counter-attack rarely in the second half. Whether it be Emerson getting forward or whatever, he was getting up the pitch. He was full-on pelt getting down there. it would have been Emerson, would it? Because he came on for Paqueta, Gio. But there's definitely a few moments where we got forward. He was in that 18-yarder looking for the ball, trying to support Antonio. And I think he left everything out on the pitch. I think Moyes got all 3 substitutions right. I think when Cornet got injured, I think Fornals was the right one because we were 1-0 up. Had it been 0-0, I think Ben Rama should have come on. And then to see Antonio for Scamacca, I thought was the right sub at the right time. Again, I seen comments yesterday in the review saying, "Oh, he couldn't wait to get Antonio on." Blah blah blah. I thought it was the right one. I thought we were now into Antonio territory, which is counter-attacking, tired defence, 20 minutes to go. I thought it was the right sub at the right time. And to be fair to Antonio, I thought he worked hard when he came on, a bit too enthusiastic, and he'd beat a Wolves player, go to have a shot, get blocked by the second Wolves player. He was someone that Antonio struggled to impose himself, I think, because we were 2-0 up. We weren't committing bodies forward at this point. And that's the perfect striker play. This is what we've been screaming out for, having somebody that can play for X amount of minutes, then Antonio comes on. That's what we saw yesterday, and then there's people unhappy that Antonio came on at all. I thought it was the right sub at the right time, and getting your fresh pair of legs on, because we were struggling to hold on to the ball, and I thought Antonio did well to hold the Wolves players off, get us up the pitch at times. And then when Emerson came on for Paqueta, again, I thought Paqueta had given everything. Emerson came on, I thought he looked quite good in his cameo role, actually, just helping Creswell out on that side and see the win out. So a big win. Were we perfect? No. Is the fact that we played Wolves a big contributing factor as to why we won? Yes. But I do, like I said, I think context is hugely important. We were desperate for 3 points last night and we got them. I would have been happy with the scrappiest 1-0 win in the world last night. But it wasn't that. I genuinely feel we saw old David Moyes West Ham last night, and it isn't always pretty on the eye, it isn't always fancy or anything like that. This is a side, the worst thing that came out of last night, and when I say that, I don't mean it was horrible, I mean worst case scenario from last night's win, it buys Moyes a little bit of time. Moyes has now got evidence that Kerr can play right back. He's got evidence that his best centre back pairing probably still is Dawson and Zuma, although I think Kerr and Zuma's been pushing it. He's now got evidence that Cornet and Bowen on the wings do work. Scamacca is an excellent striker. He's still got a few things to work out. I'm still not convinced that's Paqueta's best position. I'd still like to see him drop a little bit deeper and make it a 3 in midfield rather than like a 4-2-3-1. So there's still a little bit of work to do. I say a little bit. There's still a lot of work to be done with this team. But he can do it off the back of a win now and mould it rather than have to make wholesale changes. And I think there's a massive difference between altering it after a win compared to trying to make changes after a defeat. I think that's two completely different things, and I think we'll benefit from that. Next Sunday we've got Fulham. I know we've got the European game, but next Sunday we've got Fulham. I think Wolves was the perfect opponents for this weekend. I think Fulham are the perfect opponents for next weekend, actually. A little bit better than Wolves, where Wolves are today. A little bit better, but not too far up. They're a small upgrade, if you like, in opposition. And I think that'll be a different test to if we have turned a corner, or if we are turning a corner. Because we haven't turned it yet, have we? We haven't gone from poor to excellent just like that. No chance. It's a journey. It's a long-winded corner we're on. But we are starting to go round it. But very, very quickly, next Sunday, all the positivity from last night could get sucked away just like that. We've got big games coming up and we need points plural. However, good start last night. 3 points, much needed 3 points. Big performances from big players. Perfect? No. Vital? Yes. However, if you somehow enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat. Also, if you don't mind supporting the channel out, or you want a bit more Hammers Chat videos, if you want discount at our online store, if you want entry into our giveaways, we've often got ticket giveaways as well. We'll have 2 tickets to give away for Fulham next week as well. So we've got a ticket giveaway coming up in the next few days. Get yourself over there, patreon.com/HammersChat. Links in description, pinned comments. And massively appreciate any support we get. It means the absolute world to us. I'll catch you tomorrow where we'll be discussing Scamacca. It's a video purely about Scamacca. I'll catch you then.